All right, shalom, 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 yashala. This is Brother Yawanah.
This is Brother Paya.
Brother Yahweh.
All right, we got a nice video for the Sabbath class. Lord willing, we're gonna be going into Halloween, breaking it down through the spirit of Paya Abba Shem Shah, and how if you're a true servant of the Most High, and if you're doing the will of the Most High, you're not gonna be doing things like Halloween and Christmas and all these pagan holidays and festivals. And we're gonna start off with a video first, and then we'll go into the other. All right.
Celebrating Halloween, but might not know too much about it aside from having roots in Celtic paganism.
Dude, I still have some of that orange hair in my mouth.
Yeah, you see, you got it all under your face too there.
Now, we are for sure not telling you, your kids, or your family to stop enjoying dressing up and either getting so much candy that your teeth fall out or passing out from all the sugar.
But it's good to know the history of this and how it has a very dark and twisted side that most people wouldn't know. And why is that?
Well, like everything else, this holiday might as well be called the Deep State Day of Evil. But we'll get into that a bit later. First, let's talk about the history of this weird, fun, scary, and strange holiday.
Now, like everything, Halloween started out upright and had a very specific purpose.
So over 2,000 years ago, the Celtics would celebrate their New Year's by honoring those who have died. They believed that once a year, a door would open from our world to the netherworld, and those who were dead, along with other beings such as the fairies and stuff, would come through and walk among them in the living world once again.
However, evil spirits would also be able to come into our world where they would feast on the living. So in order to hide from them, they would dress up as like monsters, ghouls, and ghosts and demons to hide or confuse them so they would leave them alone.
But during this celebration, the Celtic priests would build huge bonfires, would make a huge feast for everyone, and also make sure they left sweets, wines, meats, and other food outside for evil spirits to consume before they went back to the netherworld.
Now, in ancient paganism, and specifically Druidism, they celebrated something called Samhain, which was basically the same as the Celtic New Year.
Now, Halloween, or Samhain, started out as a festival to honor the crone, who is an elder priestess or matriarch. The word hag actually started to be used, which meant wise or holy wisdom, and centuries later, hag turned into another word for witch.
Now, crone was originally part of the Trinitarian goddess, which represented the three phases of the moon and the annual cycles of nature, and also rebirth, as it symbolizes the birth of the new year.
When the Christian church took over the holiday, they renamed it Halloween, Hallowed Eve, which means holy, and they turned it back to just mean that it was a sacred time for honoring our ancestors.
Now, we say it was because most people don't celebrate it this way anymore, and nowadays, if people really knew what happened or what is going on, we might think totally differently about this holiday.
However, today it's a huge money-making holiday, coming in at second only to Christmas. It's a huge multi-billion-dollar industry, which is why companies promote it, from the candy industry to costumes, decorations, cards, you name it.
Okay, now you guys might be wondering, okay, so how did witches, magic, jack-o'-lantern, vampires, werewolves,
Donkeys,
etc. come to be?
Okay, to go back even further to the Sumerian days, about 4,000 years ago, there's a tablet containing the Gilgamesh epic, which mentions the goddess Lilith. She was a demon, or she-demon, called night hags, or nightmares, who were known as vulvas, shape-shifting entities who would transform between dawn and at dusk.
It was said that these she-demons would have total control over men's sexuality, either making them her slaves or through magic make them impotent.
Also, Lilith's sacred symbolism was the owl, which is the wise bird of the crone. And this is also why owls are a big part of Halloween, which also represents human sacrifice, which we'll get into here pretty soon.
By the way, Lilith is the reason why Christians started to look at these women as witches. And also, it is very strange that Lilith is seen as a really good thing in our culture now, such as like Lilith Fair, in which this is named after. And many people say this is where real feminism came from. But I mean, well, this is like a whole topic.
Why'd you even go there,
We're not
Ben?
even going to go on this episode.
Okay, so after years passed by, Samhain started to be associated with Lord Samhain, which is another name for the Lord of Darkness. Yeah, great, and that sounds like Sauron from Lord of the Rings, who's also represented by the Horn God and Stag God, and soon he started to be worshipped by the Druids.
And really, this is where another form of the demons, Moloch and Cermenos, which is also connected to Saturn. From this, all kinds of predictions were sought after, and eventually these priests started to perform human sacrifices in these fires to the sun god, or really to Moloch.
Or Saturn.
Or Saturn.
Also, we didn't really get into it, but the Romans also started to perform ritual sacrifices, and this was directly connected to Saturn. We talked a bit about this in our Saturn episode, but I digress.
Soon, a form of Satanism started to really take shape as some of these women would collect and keep various kinds of animals and insects, which was believed they could become possessed by demons and could be used in these first so-called spells.
Children started to be used as a sacrifice to make the older look younger, and also spells were cast to see the future and to communicate with the devil himself. Now, we're not saying everyone in this druid or pagan community is like this, of course not. We're just saying that this started to happen here.
As for jack-o'-lanterns, they first came about as men would hold these eerie lights as they came from the sea into the bogs and marshes in England. They would hold them in their hands and kind of sway them and actually look like a swinging head, so they came to be known as corpse candles. The candles were also signals for the souls of the men who were lost at sea that were leading them home.
They started to carve scary faces in them to ward off the evil spirits. However, things became darker when the druids started to go to homes and demand that the husband of the homes provide a loved one to be sacrificed. If the husband agreed, they would leave a lantern on the doorstep.
If the husband refused, they would place a spell or a trick on the home and draw a hexagon on the front door in human blood. A demonic spirit would then be attracted to the hexagram, and it would invade the house, causing one or more of the inhabitants to go insane and basically possess them.
Hexagrams, right. Now again, once the Christians took over and named it Hallows Eve, they focused on just the ancestry and tried to convert the pagans. This was the precursor to the burning of the witches that started in Europe in the 1500s.
Now, we'll get into the werewolves in a minute, but these actually came from the shape-shifting beings, and the vampires came about from drinking the blood of others, which is kind of basically what the deep state is doing, and we'll get into that later.
Now, was everyone bad and deserved to die? Of course not. We covered all of this in our Salem Witch Trials episodes, which aired just before this one.
Things kind of died down a bit on both sides, or at least out of the public eye. However, in secret, the dark side of Halloween started to renew, and the 13 bloodlines started to take control of the country and pretty much our world.
Hey, it's Brian Rose from London Real. I recently sat down with Nomi Prince in the studio. She's a former Wall Street...
Nah, it's a good get to a better point, too. Yeah, kind of. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so let's fast forward to a more modern age. One person we want to bring up is Arizona Wilder. If you don't know who she was one of the first people to come out and really talk about the Illuminati rituals in the 90s with David Icke.
Now, listening to it seems a little bit crazy. I mean, she talks about everything from secret rituals, being groomed to become one of the mothers of darkness, the highest classification of a witch inside the cabal. I mean, she goes into aliens, demons, shape-shifting creatures, different families of the bloodlines, I mean, etc.
Her story is she was raised within the cabal and was being groomed and was also an MK Ultra slave. She went to many meetings, took part in secret rituals, and even saw very high-level people at these rituals.
Now, at first glance, it almost seems, too crazy to be true. And at that time, no one was really talking about this, especially, like these shape-shifting entities. She was one of the first people to call out the Queen of England as one of these entities.
So Wilder said she didn't want to be part of this anymore and broke free of the mind control and decided to come out and speak publicly about all of this. Now, what's interesting is that instead of fading away, this led to even more people coming out and speaking about all of this.
Wilder says that these shape-shifting beings are the ones that all the religions talk about as these like demons or these demonic figures such as like snakes, dragons, and that are all part of our culture and even in our religions.
Yeah, she talked a lot about Halloween and said if people really knew what was happening, no one would be celebrating it anymore. She explained that the 13 bloodlines use this night as a great sacrificial night.
She said simultaneously in the U.S. there are 6 different locations where the 13 bloodlines meet and worship Satan and perform these rituals. So what's interesting, in 2008, someone named Tony Alamo was arrested for sexual assaulting a number of underage girls. And the worst part is his organization was created in Christianity, supposedly to help these girls. And he was also one of these televangelists on TVN. Wilder claimed in the 90s that this Christian side was just a show for the public for his true satanic nature, which actually came to light.
So according to Wilder, she says that the cabal would kidnap children, mostly from third world countries, to be used in actual blood ritual sacrifices. Most are homeless or are stolen from their broken homes. She says that the children represent the purest energy, and they would then terrorize them, use mind control and drugs on them, and then they would be used in blood rituals.
Also, it wouldn't be a surprise to us to learn that some of these children possibly may be disappearing in the national parks, which seems to be a cover-up. And we just filmed another episode on people missing in national parks, so make sure you check that out.
Okay, so guys, we'll go into some details, but we won't get too gruesome here. But basically, they would take these kids and they would drain their blood and then basically hold toasts up and everybody would drink. So in these sacrifices, a lot of these things would go on during it.
So earlier we said we'd get into the vampire part. I mean,
it's kind of it,
this
right?
Is it. Without going too much in detail here, I mean, you can kind of put 2 and 2 together here. Records are really hard to find, I mean, way back in the day, but according to her and many others, I mean, who are all talking about these bloodlines and everything else, I mean, this has been going on for thousands of years in many different cultures. Now, again, we're not saying that everybody is bad, it's just what happens. You get a group of people doing really bad things and it kind of overshadows everything else.
Yeah, she actually went on to say that all of the celebration today, from like the scary decorations, people dressed as demons, ghosts, fake blood zombies, etc., is all part of the plan to desensitize the entire population, so we get used to seeing all of this like demonic and dark stuff.
Now, many religious people want to say that we should celebrate the Harvest Festival instead of Halloween, but to the cabal, I mean, they don't care what name it is because they would just look at it really as like blood harvest.
So actually, she starts to talk about a lot of these rituals, and in one of them, they would actually create a hexagon, and then inside of that, a pentagram, and then inside of that, a triangle, and then the Mother of Darkness would stand and summon very old, ancient demons. She also talks about different holidays, such as Christmas, but we for sure won't get into that here.
Is for sure. But after she came forward, there are many other people coming out telling their own stories about these 13 bloodlines, such as an ex-Satanist, Glenn Hobbs, who was under mind control and was forced to marry a girl who was extremely young. And he talks about during Halloween, they would have him possessed by Satan, and they would kill these animals in a ritual. He said he was being groomed to be one of the high priests in the cabal.
He then talked about how he was taken with the girl to a place where he witnessed the cabal, who had her tied up to an altar and doing a ritual to sacrifice her. From his understanding, they were all possessed by demons, and they basically did a lot of really gruesome stuff to her with a knife, and once again collected her blood in goblets until she, and then they drank it. I don't want to go into the details because it's nasty.
Yeah, it's really weird stuff. Okay, sorry guys, we don't really want to go too much into this gruesome details and whatever, but a lot of these stories kind of need to be heard. And a lot of these sources lately, as unbelievable it sounds, really seems like this could very well be true, given what we know of, the cabal and the Lumadonkey.
So anyway, the conclusion, there is so much more to this, but if we talk about this anymore, most people probably won't be able to take it. So we're going to end it here, but really, we aren't telling you to stop Halloween altogether. We just want you to know what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, I had friends.
After all that, he said, no, don't stop Halloween altogether, man. Right? So that just show you how Esau truly is, man. and how wicked these holidays is, and that's it on that. You know, they got more of the video, but that's all we're gonna touch on. Before we get in the scriptures, I want to start off giving all honor, glory, and praises to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shah.
Shem. Sure.
That's all praise to the Most High. The name is only begotten Son. And you see here that the whole thing about Halloween is just wicked as hell, man. From the top to the bottom is nothing but wickedness, man. Right? So it's all about sacrificing children. It goes into Molech, right? Going back to Molech, that's in the Bible. We're gonna touch on that. You see that the Christians even call Halloween, like hallow means like a holy, and ween is talking about it's like a holy day into them, right? So this just show you that Christianity is just nothing but paganism, right? Because they name Halloween like a hollow day, right? But they don't keep none of the feast days in the Bible, right? Because that's what the Bible tells you to do, right? So we're gonna go into it, get some precepts, Lord willing, and break it down. I'm gonna start off with Deuteronomy 11 and 16. You got a precept you wanna bring up? Adrian, give me Sirach chapter 13 and verse 16 in the Apocrypha. Let me get Deuteronomy 11 and 16, right? This is Deuteronomy chapter 11 verse 16, and it says, "Take heed to yourselves that your heart be not deceived, and ye turn aside and serve other gods and worship them." So we got to take heed that our mind be not deceived by these ways of Satan, like Halloween, right? These days that people gonna go into and try to justify within themselves and say, "Well, we're not really into that part. We just celebrate. It's just for the kids. It's just so they can eat candy." That's off as hell, man. We just read what it's really about, man. Right? Bringing your kids into the fire, sacrificing them to Molech. That's what all these things is about, man. Right? And he says, "And then the Lord wrath be kindled against you, and he shut up the heaven, that there be no rain, and that the land yield not her fruit, unless ye perish quickly from off the good land which the Lord giveth you." Right? So you see us, we worship these other gods and Molech, even during these times, and we got destroyed for those things, man. Right? So you seeing that our people are still going into these different idolatries, and the way this world makes it is that, oh, well, it's just cool to do. It's just cool to, it's not really no big deal. Right? When the Lord tells us about these things, man. Right? You just seen the breakdown of how all its roots is paganism. Just like Christmas, just like Easter, just like all these other folly days, you seeing the same thing that our people going to. That's all paganism roots, and all goes against serving the one and only God whose true name is Yahweh. Right? You got a precept about?
Yeah, this is 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 21. "You cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of demons."
I actually started 17 on that.
Okay.
Started 17 on that. That's because 17, go to 17 through 21. That whole thing is good. While he getting that, pop that Sirach 13 out,
Sirach 13 and 1.
16 out,
You said Sirach 13. You said 13, right?
and 16.
Or 16? Sirach chapter 16,
13,
verse 1, right?
13 and 16 out.
Oh, I thought you said.
Well, while you getting that, he got this already. Go ahead and bring it up out.
For we being made,
Go ahead and call out the precept.
yeah, 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 17.
Right.
"For we being many are one bread and one body. For we are all partakers of the one bread.
Right.
Behold, Israel after the flesh are not that which are eat of the sacrifice, partakers of the altars."
Right, can you read? So we shouldn't eat of the sacrifices of partakers unto these altars, right, can you read?
"What said I then, that the idol is anything, or what of that which is offered and sacrificed to idols is anything?"
Right, because it's vanity, right? Those things you eat and then you take partakers of, that's off, man. It's vanity, man. It's not. You're not serving the Lord by celebrating Halloween, man. You're not serving the Lord by celebrating damn Christmas, right? Can you read?
"But I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils."
They sacrifice to what?
To devils.
So these Gentiles, these other nations, they sacrifice your Thanksgiving, your Christmas, your Halloween. It's sacrificing to devils, and you should be a partaker of those things because you're supposed to be a partaker of the body of Christ. You're supposed to be a partaker. When was Christ celebrating Halloween, man? When was Christ sitting around, cutting up a damn pumpkin, putting it out? Where's the account of that in the scriptures, man? Right, can you read?
You cannot drink the cup of the Lord,
right,
and the cup of devils.
Right, so you can't have both of them. If you're gonna serve the Lord or you're gonna be a partaker with those devils, man. And that's what the people that's still in this sort of in the troop and still, still being a partaker of those things, still celebrating Halloween and justifying it in your mind. Well, it's just for the kids. They eat candy. Well, those things is not just for. It wasn't made for the kids, man. It was made for sacrifices, man. It was wicked from the very beginning, man. Pagan origins, man. Right? And you'll do those things before you do what the Lord told you to do and keep His holy days. Right? Can you read?
You cannot partake of the table of the Lord and the table of demons.
Right. You can't be at the table of the Lord and then 1 second you at the table of the demons too, man. You can't be on the right and the left hand side, man, and be just flipping back and forth, man. Right. So you gotta be willing to eat at the table of the Lord. Let me get this precept to that. This is Luke chapter 22 at verse 29. It says, "And I appoint unto you a kingdom as my Father have appointed, that ye may eat and drink at my table in my kingdom, and sit on thrones judging the 12 tribes of Israel." Right? So these are the 12 apostles, but you want to be sitting at the Lord's table, man. You want to be a partaker of what the Lord's bringing out. You don't want to be a partaker on the left-hand side, man, of wickedness, man. Right? Come on, get that precept you got, Sirach 13. That's it on that? Get that Sirach.
All right, come.
13 and 16.
All right, this is Sirach chapter 13, verse 16. It says, "All flesh concerneth according to kind, and a man..."
Salakia. It's consortive.
Oh, sorry. I'll say it again. This is Sirach chapter 13, verse 16. It says, "All flesh consorteth according to kind, and a man will cleave to his like."
Right, so a man will cleave to his like. Right? Can you read?
It says, "What fellowship had the wolf with the lamb?"
Right, so you should be clinging to, if you want to be righteous, you should be clinging around righteous people. You should be around people celebrating Halloween. Right? Because the Lord says, all flesh consorteth according to kind, and a man will cleave to his like. Just like you don't never see a wolf chilling with a lamb, right? You never see no lion, chilling with a gazelle, right? You never just see them just sitting around and they eating together. No, because they're contrary to one another, man. The same way you're supposed to be contrary to the people of this earth, to the wickedness of this earth, man, right? So what fellowship have the wolf with the lamb, right? Can you read?
It says, "So the sinner with the godly."
So what do you have to be doing with this wickedness right here? You just heard the origins from Esau. Esau telling you straight out his mouth what it's about. And then Esau go back on it. Well, we're not telling you not to celebrate it. After said it's all about sacrificing children and all about wickedness and death and destruction. Right? And worshiping idols. Right? Can you read?
It says, "What agreement is there between the hyena and a dog?"
Right, you don't see hyenas and a dog chilling with each other. They gonna clash at each other. They're not gonna be just sitting there. Come on, you could come join us. Come hang with us. No, they're contrary to one another. The same way all these folly days should be contrary to you if you're walking in the spirit of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. Right?
Come.
Can you read?
It says, "And what peace between the rich and the poor?"
Right, because the rich, they have a whole different life than the poor. Right? There's nothing for them. They contrary to one another, man. You don't really see rich people hanging out with poor people like that, man. They're not gonna be really. Who gonna be in that circle? Other rich people, right? You gonna have poor people having rich people around them, man. Right? So the same way this wickedness that goes on in a society, you should be contrary to that wickedness, right? That's it on that. Yeah, appreciate it.
19 gets deep too a little bit.
That's it, man. You good? Yeah, we could go
You
into
don't know?
that, but that's it on that.
Ephesians
Okay.
chapter 6, verse 12. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood,
Right.
but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmos power over.
Hold on. Read it again. Man.
Hold on, I know you're talking about it.
Ephesians.
Hold on.
Get that Ephesians 6 12.
Yeah, kind of. I'm gonna look it up in King James.
Come on.
It's a little off now. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Ephesians 6, chapter 12. Verse 12. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principality, against power, against the ruler of darkness of this world,
Come on.
against spiritual wickedness
Right.
in high places.
So we wrestle against spiritual wickedness in high places. This thing is a spiritual wickedness in high places, man. That's wicked as hell, and that's everyone does it, man. Without even thinking about it, they go and get a damn pumpkin, carve the pumpkin, and just like those Edomites brung out, they said, look, you got certain people that they won't celebrate Halloween, but they'll say, oh, let's celebrate the harvest, right? They're going cut pumpkins, go to pumpkin patches and stuff. That's still off, man. That's all celebrating that same thing, man. That's what we were just talking about. That's all them Esau was bringing out. He said all the dressing people up, all the things that they do, it's all desensitizing you to the evil that's really going on, man. They already, people go missing on those days, man. People go missing, kids go. You have kids going knocking on people's doors, man. Right? People get taken up those. You got kids that's getting sacrificed, brought through the fire on those days and sacrificed to Molech, man. Like they just read. Right? So these are the same things that was found in the Bible, man. That we was doing, man. It's just taken a different way for our people. It's just taken a different it's more appealing to our people now.
Yeah.
Right? Because they like, oh well, everyone does it. The kids get to have fun. Your kids can have fun celebrating the Pentecost, man. Your kids can have fun celebrating the Passover, man. Your kids can have fun celebrating the Feast of Tabernacles, man. You want to celebrate this time of the year, celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles, man. We just finished celebrating it, man. Right?
Right.
So, Khan, that's it on that.
Yeah.
You get that, give me 1 Corinthians 8 and 4, Adrian. 1 Corinthians 8 and 4. I got a precept. This is Revelation chapter 2 and verse 14. And it says, but I have a few things against thee, because thou hast dared, but thou hast dared them that hold the doctrine of Belial, and taught Balak to cast a stumbling block before the children of Israel, to eat things sacrificed unto idols, and to commit fornication. So if you eating things sacrificed unto idols, you committing fornication, man. Right? You that's against the Most High, man. Right? You going against the things the Most High told you to do. You eating that candy. You got your kids eating that candy. Right? That's candy sacrificed to idol. They don't hide it. They got the Halloween all over the candy. They got the they sport the like they said it's a multi-billion-dollar business, man. Right? Next to Christmas, they said, man. Right? So they get money off this, man. They all making money off wickedness and evil. Right? So, like you said, man, you eating things sacrificed to idols, you commit fornication against the Lord, man. Right? You married unto the Lord, and you coming and dealing with these other philosophies and doctrines, man. That's not of the Lord. Right? Get that 1 Corinthians 8 and 4, Adrian.
All right, come. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 4. It says, as concerning them, therefore, the eating of those things that are offered in sacrifice unto idols. It says, we know that an idol is nothing, the world.
Read that again.
It says, we know that an idol is nothing in the world.
Can you read?
It says, in that there is none other Yahweh but one.
Right, so you should know that these idols is nothing. Right? You should know that Halloween, Christmas, all these things sacrificed unto idols, Thanksgiving is nothing, and there's only one true God, right? And he told you the things which you should celebrate, man, right? If the Lord wants you to celebrate Halloween, He would have told you to celebrate Halloween. If the Lord wants you to celebrate Christmas, it'll be in Leviticus the 23rd chapter, Leviticus 26th chapter, right? You be able to find it in Leviticus 23. We look it up and find it in the holy days, man, but it's not there. Why? Because it's worshiping idols is not of the Lord. Anything that's not that simple. We brought this out last week about deception, being deceived. Anything the Lord ain't say, you can bet your bottom dollar you're being deceived. You can bet your bottom dollar it's wicked as hell. You can bet your bottom dollar that it's off. Period is that. Right? Precept.
Yeah. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 11. And have no fellowship with the unfruitful.
Right.
The worker of darkness.
Con.
But rather reprove them.
Right. So you should have no fellowship with the works of darkness.
Right.
You see your people celebrating Halloween, your job is to reprove them. Your job is to say, look, you going off, man. You know that's sacrificing to idols. You know that's you bringing your little kids to the fire. You think you giving something to your kids, but really you putting them through the fire, man. Really you spiritually killing them, man. You take your innocent child and giving them up and worship him and putting them through that fire just like you read in Molech. You giving them that sacrifice, man. You can't get around that, man.
Can't get around it.
That's what they just brung out, that it's all going back to Molech. And how they used to sacrifice their children in the fire. They doing the same things. These Edomites doing the same thing during Halloween. They sacrificing the children. They was drinking the blood of the children, man. Right?
Man.
So Khan, get Leviticus 18 and 21 up. Leviticus 18 and 21.
Okay, come. All right, this is Leviticus chapter 18, verse 21. It says, and thou shalt not let any of thine seed pass through the fire
Right.
to Melech.
To Molech.
To Molech.
Right.
Neither
because we just
shall
read
thou,
this talking about Molech. Can you read?
It says, neither shall thou profane the name of thy Yahweh.
Khan.
I am the Lord.
Right, so he's the Lord, man. Right, he told you what you should do, man. You should be going around sacrificing your children and putting them through that fire and Molech, because you just seen Esau say that's what it goes back to. That's what they doing, killing the children, man. Right? And that's what it goes back to. I got a precept with that too in Deuteronomy 18. I want to get this on the blue letter. Deuteronomy 18, and we'll start at verse 10. And it says, there shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that uses divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, right? Or a consorter with familiar spirits, right? Or a wizard, or a necromancer. Now let's go into that word necromancer, right? Go into that word necromancer. Hebrew word is darash. All right, we'll play it out real quick.
Strong's H 1875. Darash.
Darash. All right.
Darash.
And it says, to seek, to resort to frequent, to consult a place, tread a place, inquire of, seek of heathen gods, right? To seek deity in prayer and worship, right? To seek, so you seeking these heathen gods, these worshiping these heathens, man, right? These heathens idols, right? And you frequently do it. You do it every year. Every year it come up, y'all doing it, right? So you got to come out of that, man, and worship in Molech, man. The Lord told you that was going, and it's still happening today. What did the Lord say? That which have been is now, man. They just don't change up how it's looking.
Exactly, man.
Right?
Nothing new under the sun.
Nothing new under the sun. Right? So, Kai, you got a precept?
Yeah. John chapter 3, verse 11. Beloved, follow not that which is evil, but that which is good.
Kai.
He that does good is of the Most High, but he that does evil has not seen the Most High.
You said it was John 3 and 11? Oh,
John,
1
chapter
John.
7.
1 John.
Yeah, 1 John chapter 3, verse 11.
Oh, Salaki, because I was looking at John and said, all right, Salaki, you can bring it out again, Salaki.
1 John chapter 3, verse 11. 1 John chapter 1 verse 11.
1 verse 11. Salaki. Okay. Yeah, you called out 1 John 1 11.
No, 3 John. Man.
3 John verse 11. All right.
Mess me up, man.
Salaki.
3 John, man.
Yeah, you said.
Yeah.
All right. So 3 John.
Yeah.
Verse 11.
Yeah. 3 John.
All right, come on. Bring it out.
Beloved, follow not that which is evil, but that which is good.
Come on.
He that does evil, he that does good is of the Most High. But he that does evil has not seen the Most High.
Right, because you go into these churches, and these churches are advocates for these Halloween.
Yeah.
They got the
Bring
pumpkin
out.
patches. You know, he bringing
man.
kids the pumpkin patches, man.
Yeah.
Bringing the kid, they celebrating. They got damn Halloween service. What the hell is this, man? That's not found in the Bible, man. That's not found in the scriptures, man. Right? So if you doing that evil, you haven't seen God. You don't even know what the Most High represents. You can go to that church every day, think you're doing the will of the Most High, but you don't even know what He's about. Right? You don't even know the basic things, man. You have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the Most High.
Yeah.
Right?
You got a lot of these churches, man, that have a day before Halloween.
Yeah.
They call it something. What they call it, man?
Ain't no telling, man.
They call it something. Hallelujah or something.
Oh, that's off, man. I can believe it.
Yeah, I know,
Hallelujah.
man.
Hallelujah.
I go to them church. I said, man,
Yeah,
you
man.
shouldn't have nothing to do with Halloween.
Right.
We just doing it. I said,
For-
nah,
yeah,
I'm
that's
still
off.
taking part of it.
Yeah, that's off.
Cause you still giving out candy and all that stuff.
Right,
I said,
man. You eat that candy, you a partaker of it.
Yeah, man.
You celebrate it, you a partaker of it, man. You can't eat it in the cup. We just read it. You can't drink in a cup and be at the table with the Most High and then still be dealing with devils, man. Still being with wickedness, man. That's set up. That's pagan deity. No matter how much you, just like with Christmas, no matter how much you convince yourself in your head, well, you know, it's just for the kids. It's paganism, right? The Lord didn't tell you to celebrate that in this Bible. If you believe in the Bible, you should go off what thus saith the Lord,
Yeah, man.
right?
A lot of these churches try to do a cover up.
Come on.
They'll have different stuff. Now, it might be actually named Halloween or Christmas,
Right.
but they still celebrate it. They
Right.
still
God.
acknowledge it, you know? And the
It's
leaders,
still
and most of these leaders are chicken. They too chicken to tell the people,
Right.
you know, nah, we can't do that.
right. They celebrating it themselves, most of
man.
them.
They just too chicken, man. Instead of just, being leaders that the Lord called them to be. That's
Right.
how we in this predicament today. You know, the men of God, they call themselves men of God, but they won't stand up for what's true. They don't love the people, man. You know, if you love your brother, you gonna drag him out the fire, man. You know?
Right. And this was a huge thing. Get Leviticus 20 and 2. If you would have been worshiping Molech during the time of Leviticus, you're going to be put to death. That's what the Lord says, man. Right? So the same thing is going to happen to these people as continue to celebrate these pagan days. Right? That your Christian church called hallowed day. They make it a hallowed day. A holy day. Right?
Yeah.
Where's that in the Bible, man? Right?
Leviticus, right?
Leviticus 20 and 2.
Leviticus, chapter 20, verse 2. Again, thou shalt say to the children of Israel, whosoever he be of the children of Israel, or of the strangers sojourning in Israel,
Okay.
that giveth any his seed unto
Molech.
that he shall surely be put to death.
Mm.
The people of the land shall stone him with stones.
Man, so if you giving your children over to that Molech, this is a thing, a shadow of things to come. You keep doing that, you're gonna be put to death.
That's right, man.
Right? The Lord's telling you. Right? We got a grace period now to get right. But if you continue in that wickedness, you're gonna get put to death, man. We used to celebrate Halloween. We used to celebrate Christmas. Right? But then the Lord has opened up our spirit to know that we gotta go about thus saith the Lord. We gotta do the things He told us to do, and not what man told us to do, because man gonna lead you astray, right? And like we was reading, with the time to be deceived, as time wax older, the evil's gonna increase, right? Halloween, you got people in different countries that celebrate Halloween. Ain't got nothing to do with it. They just celebrate because that just show you how wicked it is.
They say how America, man, they'll draw everybody in.
Right? Huh?
Babylon the Great, man.
Babylon the Great. All nations have drunken of the wine of her fornication.
And that point you said about shall be put to death. Who knows, man? The Lord might kill you today for
Right,
that.
right, God.
You know, your time ain't like the Most High
Right,
time.
right, exactly.
You've been celebrating Halloween all your life now.
Exactly.
Now it's time to get out of it.
Right.
Guess what? You might not get out of it, and you might not live again.
Right, and the people, you know, people will come around and be like, "Oh, he was such a good person." Oh, no, you ain't good in the eyes of the Lord. The laws is good. The statutes and commandments is good
Holy, man.
and holy.
You know what I'm saying?
and just.
And just, man.
So you got to do the things that's in there. You don't been going off, man. You sin. If you sin, you worthy of death.
Yeah.
The Lord can put you to death at any time for celebrating that Christmas. The Lord can put you to death at any time for celebrating that Halloween, man. Y'all got any more precepts? That's pretty much been on my precepts. I got. You got a precept, Adrian?
I was looking at the Leviticus chapter 20 verse 6.
Bring it out then.
But it's I can bring it out. It says, this is Leviticus chapter 20 verse 6. It says, "And the soul that turneth after such as have family spirits,
Familiar
and after
spirits.
wizards." It says, "And after wizards,
Right.
to go and whoredom
A whoring.
after them, I will even set my face against that soul, and will cut him off from among his people."
Right, because those are familiar spirits, man. Wizards. He just told you what it's all about. Wizardry and wickedness, high wickedness on the left hand side, man. Them Edomites that get together and they they literally kill children, man. Right? And a lot of people, they don't even the Edomites said, we believe this stuff might be true, man. You know, so that goes to show. And then they still say, well, we're not telling you not to celebrate it. But we here to tell you, you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, don't you celebrate that, man. Celebrate the ways of the Lord, man. Right? And walk in the ways of the Lord, that all your ways may be justified, man. Right?
One more precept.
Yeah, come on, bring it out.
1 Timothy, because we're living in the last days.
Come on.
1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 1.
That's the one I was talking about. Bring it out, bring it out.
Yeah, man. Now the Spirit speak especially that in the latter time some shall depart from the faith,
Right.
giving heed to seducing spirits.
Right, those are seducing spirits, man. That's a seducing thing, man. Just come, bring your kids. We'll have a fun time. Everyone else doing it, just come. That's seducing as hell, man. Right, can you read?
And doctrines of devils.
That's a doctrine of a devil, man. No one else is doctrines of devils.
That's what
Right?
it is, man.
Anything that the Most High didn't tell you to do, guess what? It's a doctrine of a devil. It's deceiving you. Right? And that's the problem with you not going thus said the Lord, and you don't understand the Old Testament, the so-called Old Testament, and understand the things that our people have already done and have a understanding of the Torah. Right? Can you read?
Speaking lies.
Speaking what?
Speaking lies.
Right, you got your pastors speaking lies. You can celebrate Halloween.
Yeah,
You can celebrate Christmas. Right, can you read?
Hypocrisy.
In hypocrisies. They claim to be doing the will of the Most High, doing what the Father told them to do, but yet they celebrate and they making days for Halloween.
Yeah.
Yet they celebrate and making days for Christmas. What the hell is that, man? Right, can you read?
Having a conscience sealed with a hot iron.
They conscience sealed with a hot iron. We can sit there and tell them, if it's not in the Bible, don't do it, but they going to still do it.
They're going to do it, man.
Right, can you read?
Forbidding to marry. And
Right.
commanding to abstain from meat,
Right,
which God has created to be received with thanksgiving.
right,
Of them which believe and know the truth.
right.
For every creature. Oh, that's it.
That's it. That's what I was thinking. So Khan, man, you got deception set up everywhere to bring you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans down, and this is definitely one of those deceptions, man. Hopefully, brothers and sisters was edified through the Spirit, and hopefully, brothers and sisters, you take that Halloween and you be done with it, man. Don't ever deal with it ever again, man. Watch the video, get knowledge and wisdom. Watch other brothers' video, and figure out the origins of these things, man. Right? Don't ignore matters, whether small or great, man. Understand these matters and take heed to them and see what are you really doing, man. Right? And you know, you got a lot of people who are like, the Lord know my heart. It don't really matter. The Lord knows my heart. He know everything. Let's get a precept real quick before we close up.
Man. You know, a lot of people say that. You know, Lord knows my heart. If you're born again, you ain't gonna be partakers of it.
Right,
If you follow after Christ,
Right.
it's not gonna be a problem.
Right, it ain't gonna be a problem. If you follow after everything Christ did, it ain't gonna be a problem. You ain't gonna have to even think about doing that.
You don't have a problem with it all, man.
The heart is deceitful
Right,
above
that's what
all
I was
things.
finna bring out. Jeremiah 17:9. It says the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? Right? So look, the heart is deceitful. What you think, your mind is deceitful above all things, man. It's deceiving you to think you can continue doing things that the Lord told you not to do, continue worshiping these false gods, and continue in your wickedness, man. So you gotta come out of that. You can't just continue in that. You can't just continue doing what you want to do. right? If you continue in that wickedness, you're gonna die in that wickedness. Simple as that.
James 4:4. It
Right.
said, "You adulterers and you adulteress, know you not that the friendship of the world is enmity with God,
Right.
the Most High, man. Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is an enemy of the Most High."
Right.
So you have to choose, man. You
Right.
got to throw away these wicked holidays
Right.
if you're gonna be a friend of the Most High.
Right.
You can't have both ways. You can't have it both ways.
Come.
And that's where it's gonna separate the just from the unjust, you know. So these things are written for our what? Learning, man.
Right.
So you can't have it both ways. This ain't Burger King. Can't have it your way. The Lord is he created this body. He created us for one reason, to be what? To be holy.
Right.
Holy unto who? To the Lord, man.
To the Lord. I got another precept. This is Proverbs chapter 28, verse 26. It says, "He that trusteth in his own heart is a fool, but whoso walketh wisely, he shall be delivered." Right. So if you trusting in your own heart, you a fool. If you trusting in what you think, you a fool. Right. But those who walk wisely, using the law, statutes, commandments, they're the ones that's gonna be delivered. You're not gonna be delivered from this place where you just continue in all your wickedness and you didn't ever fear the Most High, right? Or even care to fear the Most High. I got a precept for that in Romans, and then we're gonna end it out and head out the camp. This is Romans chapter 3, verse 18. It says, "There is no fear of God before their eyes." Right? So you gotta fear the Most High, right? Because if you fear God, everything you do should be pre-calculated.
That's right.
You fear the Most High, I can't just do that. I got to meditate on that.
Yeah.
I got to see what the scriptures say before I can even make that decision. And that's the same way all you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans should be in this thing, right? Especially if you claim to be in this truth. Especially if you saying you part of Judah, you part of Benjamin, you part of Levi, you part of Manasseh, you part of Asher, Ephraim, right? You part of these 12 tribes, you sporting the 12 tribes, saying you Zebulon, right? You got to do the things that our righteous forefathers done, man. Right? That's what it's about, man.
That's what it's about.
So with that, we give all honor and glory and praises to Abba Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shah. Right? Hopefully brothers and sisters was edified once again through the Spirit. Email flamingfireisrael@gmail.com. Y'all can always hit it up for answers, and brothers will answer you. Alright, so with that, Shalom.
Shalom.
And Kwam Yashala.
Kwam Lasha.
And Kwame Yashala.